back. This is going to be my 5XYZ on cryptocurrency. We're going to be talking about some of the ones that I'm investing in, why I'm investing in it. But first, we need to talk about the standard disclaimer. Not a CFP, not a CPA, and I'm by no means an expert in cryptocurrency. I'm putting together this video because cryptocurrency was something that I started investing in May without a lot of experience, and I've made some mistakes along the way. So hopefully you'll be able to learn from my progression and get some useful information so that you might not make the same mistakes I did. So to give you some context, I started investing in cryptocurrency around May of 2021, and this was immediately after Elon Musk got on SNL, immediately after the pump up for Dogecoin. So I ended up getting in after the dip. It was around 55 cents, I think, when I first got into Dogecoin, and I bought all the dips all the way down to about 38-cent average. That means I've lost quite a bit of money in it, considering that the current price is under 30 cents. I've held on to it. I plan on holding on to it for at least a year because in the event that it does go up, I like to have held for at least a long-term position so that if I wanted to give it away to charity, I'd be able to donate it to my donor advised fund. But along the way, I've learned a lot more about kind of cryptocurrency and kind of what it's involved. When I first got into Dogecoin, I didn't really understand all the different kind of aspects of cryptocurrency and applications further than just simply monetary value. So when I first bought into it, I thought that the Dogecoin community on Reddit was someone that was a little bit more altruistic, so I didn't like that aspect of it. When it came to transaction and utility in the real world, I did think that having a value of 25 cents or $1 was actually practical in terms of spending compared to Bitcoin. And then the backing of Mark Cuban and Elon Musk made it enough where I just kind of made a rush decision and just started buying into it to kind of put some skin in the game to force me to learn more. I kept buying indiscriminately into it without properly researching it, and so now I have a negative position on that. Since then, I've been doing a lot better within cryptocurrency. It's not to say that I'm outperforming everyone else, it's just to say that I'm not making the same mistakes that I did when I first started. This is kind of why I created the Crypto Lingo series that you can find below. This is simply my attempt at sharing with everyone kind of what I've learned as I go. And so I go through Investopedia, Cryptopedia, talking to other people, and I try to aggregate the information in a simple to digest kind of minute, 30, 2-minute video so that you can learn anything from blockchain, staking, mining, the centralized exchange and decentralized exchanges. And so hopefully you find those useful. But when we talk about cryptocurrency, kind of the 5 ones that I'm investing in, we'll start off with the original. So the first one is going to be Bitcoin. Bitcoin is something that is kind of the original. It is the first kind of iteration into cryptocurrency with real world adoption. Blockchain is the technology underlying the cryptocurrency, and this is something that previous attempts had been made until Bitcoin actually made it kind of successful. So some things to be aware of. It was originally established in 2009, and I think the white paper was in 2008. It is a decentralized ledger, meaning that this one ledger recording all the transaction is not just fixed or owned by one specific entity. This was kind of created and launched in the backdrop of the 2007 to 2008 financial crisis. And so for us, this is something that was probably a little bit of a commentary on it because the original thing that was in the first block was saying the time's January 3rd, 2009, Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. And so in the backdrop of irresponsible lending by banks, the eventual bailouts, this new kind of form of virtual currency of monetary value was intriguing in the sense that we wouldn't have to go through intermediaries such as banks. And that's kind of the main premise or driving force behind this whole Bitcoin movement. And so if you're investing in Bitcoin, you're investing not just in some digital asset of monetary value, you're also investing in a sort of idea of the kind of hope of having a decentralized, non-intermediary way of exchanging value or assets between two individuals. So you wouldn't have to rely on a bank. This is kind of the ethos of having greater independence, choice, and opportunity. And one of the reasons that I think Bitcoin is certainly kind of interesting. It's certainly why I want to kind of invest some of my money in it. Not to mention, it's been the original one. It's been around for a long time. But one of the things you have to be aware of is with cryptocurrency, not just Bitcoin or the other ones, it is highly volatile. So there are going to be periodic crashes within Bitcoin. So you've seen it kind of go from all-time highs like it is currently when it crossed 60,000, but you've seen huge drops. And so while I would say Bitcoin is probably one of the more stable cryptocurrencies, stable does not mean that it is not volatile. This is very different than the stock market where 1 to 2% drops are going to kind of get you uncomfortable. In cryptocurrency, a 10% drop can be considered to be normal. You see 5% swings with regularity. And so if you're going to choose to get into cryptocurrency, you need to recalibrate your mindset and recalibrate what is acceptable in terms of price swings. Because if you use the stock market mentality for cryptocurrency, it's just going to trigger a lot of panic selling. And so that's one thing that you need to learn early on, to have the right expectations and kind of the right stomach for the swings in price and values. Because the last thing I want to see for you is to take your hard-earned money, put it into cryptocurrency, see it drop 5%, panic, sell, realize that loss, and then walk away from cryptocurrency saying, oh, it was a wasted venture. If you kind of hold on to it, if you kind of zoom out, you can see that Bitcoin, while it's been a wild ride, has been on a steady increase up. And so for people that are trying to invest in cryptocurrency for the first time, I think a lot of people in the community recommend Bitcoin, or the second one we're going to talk about, which is Ethereum. Ethereum is kind of the next evolution of Bitcoin. So if you thought of Bitcoin as finding a way of creating digital value for monetary asset online, Ethereum is the next step of trying to create useful applications. So a lot of people call this iteration of Web 3.0, saying that this is a way of creating kind of the internet in its newest form, where you have, rather than servers, you have these decentralized nodes that are able to kind of store and transfer this information. So this is an evolution of Bitcoin into Ethereum. And so the whole idea is to use kind of tokens and smart contracts to develop this ecosystem that can then create new value. So it's not creating just value in the sense of trying to replace monetary money, but also trying to create just applications, utility, smart contracts that are going to be having value. And so this value is going to be in the sense that you have these new applications, these new ways of kind of executing smart contracts that are going to be decentralized. So imagine if you had a Facebook application, but it's not run and owned by Facebook. It'd be kind of in the ether in a decentralized way where the community would be able to kind of govern it itself. That is kind of the idea, from my understanding, of the benefit of Ethereum and kind of the way they are trying to build applications within their ecosystem. One of the more interesting things, though, is Ethereum is undergoing a change of going from Ethereum to Ethereum 2.0, hopefully sometime in 2022 to maybe 2023 or 24. But what it's trying to convert from is proof of work to proof of stake. And so if you heard about Elon tweeting at one point in time about how the environmental cost of Bitcoin is concerning, and that kind of caused a flash drop in the pricing of Bitcoin, well, there's some value in that concern. So Bitcoin does proof of work, where you have to solve a complex puzzle that requires a lot of computing power, requires a lot of energy, and that creates kind of cost and environmental impact. The proof of stake is trying to switch from proof of work to staking. I'm not going to be able to explain it really well. You should just definitely look into the differences and read up a little bit more. But the idea of proof of staking is it's going to allow for scalability as well as kind of being more mindful of environmental impact. And so a lot of people are excited about Ethereum 2.0. But so if you thought of kind of the gold rush, everyone's trying to go find gold. That's how I kind of view some of these alternative coins that you can find within the Ethereum ecosystem. I see Ethereum as kind of the shovel, and that's why I'm kind of investing in Ethereum and Ethereum 2.0. I'm doing this mostly through Coinbase, where I'm earning around 4.5% staking. I haven't gone further into the decentralized exchanges or some of the other types of wallets available. This has just been my kind of next level below, kind of Robinhood or public, where you're investing in crypto but not truly owning it. Ethereum does have a little bit of a downside compared to Bitcoin, however you want to think about it. Vitalik Buterin is the main kind of founder behind Ethereum, and that can be a point of weakness depending on how you think about it. It's a point of weakness in the sense that one person is being identified essentially like a CEO, so that gives them a lot of control, and it kind of goes against the grains of the whole idea of decentralized with blockchain and cryptocurrency. Compared against Bitcoin with Satoshi Nakamoto, who is this creator that we don't know if he's a man, woman, or a collective group, but that entity has essentially removed itself from Bitcoin, so it's essentially self-regulated without a single founder to potentially steer or maneuver or manipulate. Moving on to number 3, this is Cardano. So Charles Hoskinson is one of the founders of it. He was originally involved with, I think, Ethereum as well. And the more I learn about this man, the more I learn about his vision and the way he's trying to set up Cardano and ADA, has made me really interested in it. So for me, like you know, I do think charitable giving is good. I think improving the human condition is important. And so investing in Cardano for me is less about kind of trying to make money off of, let's say, appreciation in price. It's more investing in a movement or an idea. And so for me, Cardano is something that is just really intriguing. He's going on meeting with heads of state within Africa to try to bring this technology to better the human condition. It is a proof of stake blockchain with smart contracts and functionality. It's probably going to be very similar to Ethereum 2.0. And so the way I'm kind of holding the thought of Ethereum 2.0 versus Cardano is the same as Microsoft and Apple. The two of them are important. The two of them are groundbreaking. They do great things, but they are kind of linked with one another forever. And the competition between the two of them has been better for us as consumers. And so I don't think Ethereum or Cardano, one is going to overtake the other. I don't think Cardano is going to be an Ethereum killer. I think both are just going to push each other to innovate, to grow, and we're going to have a better product as a result of it. So one of the things about Cardano is it's meant to be energy efficient with its consensus mechanism, or Boros. It has a long-term vision of wanting to enable economic empowerment for those that need it most. It was launched in 2017, and it has different things like the Cardano Foundation, Emergo team, IOHK, and it's a different kind of structure compared to Ethereum. One of the things about Cardano is it's meant to be peer-reviewed, academic in nature, and they're not just going to roll things out and see how things go. They want to test it, they want to prove it, and then they want to launch it out slowly in a controlled fashion so that it doesn't have unintended consequences. And so they talk about academic rigor with Cardano. It's a little bit of a different fundamental idea than Ethereum, but I think both are wonderful projects, both are exciting, and as you can tell, just in the first 3, I'm not necessarily investing in terms of an asset or money that I think is going to appreciate in time. I'm investing in an idea, I'm investing in a vision, and that's why those 3 are kind of the most intriguing to me. The 4th one is going to be Atom or Cosmos. What this is the idea of inter-blockchain communication. So if you have multiple blockchains in parallel that are not talking to each other, that's not really good. And so the idea of having a way to communicate between all of them is important. That'd be like trying to send a text message from an Android phone to an Apple phone. Right now, all of us, we know the blue screen versus the green screen. If you have an Apple phone like I do, you always kind of get annoyed that they don't have that kind of blue icon or the blue background for that text message. But just imagine that someone has an Android phone, you have an Apple, and you guys can't talk just because you have different platforms. That's how I visualize having different blockchains not being able to talk to each other. So Atom is looking to address that. That's how it's trying to create different ways of interacting within these different chains in a way that works, in a way that's going to have scalability and transactions that are going to hopefully compete with things like traditional legacy ones like credit cards. So one of the bigger knocks on Bitcoin was the transaction speeds are way slower than credit cards. And so how are you going to have this be practically scalable when you are trying to get thousands and thousands of different transactions done in a very small amount of time, whether it's through kind of micro transactions, whether it's trying to do lending, whether it's trying to go ahead and buy things within a kind of phone application. This is something that is always going to be important when it comes to blockchain. It's the ability to maintain the decentralized nature by having appropriate transaction speeds, as well as kind of interconnectivity between the different blockchains. And so that's why 4 is Atom or Cosmo for me. 5, like you've kind of noticed now, is always a blank slate where I'm not 100% sure. It's almost as if I run out of conviction after the first 4. For the 5th one, I want to include, I was between Mana and Sheba. Mana is one where you saw that Facebook is rebranding to Meta, and there's going to be a concerted effort from major players, whether it be Facebook, Netflix, Nike, trying to get into the metaverse space. If Mana is going to be one of the currencies of the metaverse, this is going to be one that would probably be worthwhile to explore, to invest, and to maybe take a long-term position. This is purely speculation on my part. I've started to do this. I opened up a long-term position. I'm trying to do some staking within Gemini on it, and I'm trying to read more about it. I don't know a lot about the metaverse yet. That's probably going to be the next thing I learn about in addition to cryptocurrency. But I want to see how Mana kind of works before I go full-blown like I have with the other kind of 4 that I mentioned. Sheba, I think, has some interesting aspects that it's no longer just a meme token. It's something that is trying to build in utility with a Sheba swap, trying to do a decentralized exchange, trying to do an NFT incubator. And so I'm really curious to see where it's going to take itself and evolve, because it has a strong community and backing, and that's also very important. You want not necessarily a cult-like following, but you want a strong backing. And I think if they can continue to successfully innovate and grow, Sheba could actually be one that is long-term and durable. But if its only claim to fame is going to be trying to pump and trying to get decimal places moved over, and that's the only thing that's driving it, I don't think it's going to be a long-term asset. But that's just my 2 cents on that. Hopefully you found this interesting. Hopefully I wasn't rambling too long. But if you have any suggestions, leave it down below. If you have any great resources, I'd always love to hear about it, especially if it's about the metaverse or learning more about cryptocurrency. But just want to say thank you for listening. Appreciate all the support. If you want to learn more about kind of what I'm doing in some of my other platforms, go ahead, go down to the link down below about Public and just interact with me in the community there. It's a fantastic place. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.